You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Check out the LinkedIn newsletter, the big thing we put out there. We put up a great book on leadership today. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and now see the shows that we have appearing on TikTok. We're trying to be cool like those cool kids. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I don't know. There's a bunch of followers over there. People seem to like that stuff. We have an amazing author and brilliant mind on the show. And of course, it's not me. It's the wonderful guests we bring on the show, because that's why we have them. Somebody needs to be smart on the show. Valerie Maksym is on the show with us today. She has written the newest book, Maksymizing Life. And that's in her namesake. We'll get to that in a second. Turn self-doubt into self-confidence. She's joining us on the show. Her book came out October 11th, 2022. So many books got written during this era of COVID, and it's been just freaking amazing, all the different people we've been able to have on the show who've written smart stuff. And so she wrote her book, and at the age of 44, she found herself facing the challenges of divorce for the second time, and for the first time in her life, she would be living on her own. The newfound solitude she experienced became an opportunity for transformation as she began her journey of self-discovery. Over the course of 7 years, she undertook the process of healing, as well as finding her authentic self. Valerie is a mother of 4 and a Gigi of 2 granddaughters. Did I pronounce that right, Valerie?
Yes,
Gigi?
you did. You did. I'm Gigi.
Okay. And, they call you Gigi as
Yes.
grandmother. Granddaughter. I get it. Okay, now there you go. She is an author, life coach, and nationally qualified NPC fitness competitor. Welcome to the show, Valerie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We certainly appreciate it. Give us your .coms or wherever you want people to find you on the interwebs, please.
Okay, so it's MaksymizingLife.com, as it's spelled. My last name, Maksym.
Mm-hmm.
And all my handles from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is Maksymizing Life.
There you go. And let's clarify this, because we want to make sure people search for the right term on Amazon. Your last name is spelled how?
Maksym.
There you go. And when you wrote your book, Maksymizing Life, it's basically a play on your last name. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
There you go. So those of you searching on Amazon, there'll be a link on the Chris Voss Show as well. But it's Maksymizing Life. Maksymizing Life. Turn self-doubt into self-confidence. And of course, if you Google Valerie Maksym, Maksym on Amazon, you can find that book. That's always important. So tell us a little bit about your origin story. What got you kind of to the point where you made some choices in life and decisions in life, and you end up kind of going through this cathartic moment where you're, divorced, single for the first time, and then you write this amazing book and create this amazing journey with your life?
You know, I've had so many aha moments over the last 7 years of just trying to look back. What do they say? You can't figure your life out going forward, but you can connect the dots going backwards. And so it's like looking back on, I've done everything that you should not do. So if you talk to me, I've done everything that you could say you should not do that I have done. So I don't know what it was about me having to learn things the hard way, but that's how I guess I learn. So.
I think it's all how we learn. The thing we always talk about on the show and why stories like yours are important for us to learn from is there's no owner's manual. Like mine got lost in the mail. I don't know about your owner's manual for life.
I never got one.
Yeah,
I wasn't on the
I
list.
didn't get one either. Evidently, they're not standard issue from what I'm finding out. And right. I'm 55 and I'm very angry about it, but whatever. And so, we kind of have to learn through stumbling. And, what's that old saying? Hindsight's 2020. And when you
Right.
look back on your life, you're like, yeah, there's a real pattern there. Somebody who should have seen a psychiatrist when I was 16 or something.
That's exactly true. And there's no manual. So now I'm 52, we get to make our own manual. So that's, so it's like, okay, on my journey though, it's just sharing the things that I have learned. And it's not that I'm for everyone, but I know I've, helped a lot of people just by sharing my journey. And I don't know, you want me to share a little bit of it, maybe like where it started, where I was like, okay, my aha defining moment looking back when I'm like, that's where it all started. I had to, when you're looking backwards, like, how did I get here at 44 years old? And I don't even know who I am on any level. It's just not a good feeling of, I lived every day of my life to get through the next day. Like, if that even makes any sense. Like, I don't remember movies from that time frame of my life. I don't remember stories of my kids' childhood. I was in survival mode. So I literally had panic attacks, depressed. I was just literally until 44 years old when I divorced. And I'm like, okay, this can't be what life is supposed to be like, because this is horrible. Like, this is like, I can't keep doing this. And I didn't purposely go on a self-help journey. So at that point in my life, I was just like wanting to stay in bed every day with a pillow over my head and not get up.
That explains every day I have. It's every morning for me.
Right. So I just had to figure this out on my own. Like, okay, I'm a big girl now. First time on my own. I didn't have the experience of, college days, living on your own. I went from 18 to married and pregnant at 19. And so,
wow.
I didn't ever have those times. So looking back, I realized my turning point in my life was at 12 years old when my dad was home from the hospital. He had leukemia. Mm-hmm. And my mom asked me if I would stay up with him through the night because she was really tired. And so long story short, I stayed up, tried to help him to get to the bathroom. I got him there and he fell.
Oh, no.
And he literally, when he fell, he just died right in front of me. Like, I mean, it just like, it's just a horrific story. But anyways, I ran to my room. My mom heard it happen and she ran in the bathroom, not knowing I saw that because we passed each other, and she didn't know I ever saw that. In fact, she didn't know I saw that until I was 50 years old, because the way that we handled things was the next day we went on as if life, like if that never happened, we just went on like it's a new day. We just keep going. And so at 12 years old, that's a lot to process when you see that in it's just a lot. So as I've learned on my journey, emotion has to go somewhere. If we don't deal with it, it stays within us. So at 12 years old, that emotion stayed within me because I never dealt with it. In 6th grade, I began having panic attacks. I didn't tell people. I was scared. So I lived my school years all the way through 12th grade, having panic attacks in the hallway and not telling anybody, but also being labeled as shy and quiet because I didn't make friends. I felt like I was an odd person, like something's wrong with me. Like I don't fit in with that crowd or this crowd. Like I would have these moments of such panic attacks, like I was out of my body and I couldn't explain it to anybody.
Yeah.
And so the first boy that liked me out of high school, I mean, he lived down the street and my mom's like, don't talk to them down there. They just moved in. That's not a great thing. I don't want you talking to them. And I didn't have a great relationship with my mom. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to talk to them because you're not telling me why not to. And, of course, I get pregnant and I'm going to get married because my entire family is Christian based and nobody's really divorced. And that's what you do. And so that began my journey to, that I just started creating patterns. And looking back on that, it started with never healing from my dad's passing. And I could talk all day about why, the importance of healing on my journey and why I didn't. And so I was married to him for 10 years and I had 3 kids in 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. And that ended because he was very controlling and he was I didn't know at the time, but he was into drugs and stuff. And he did take me to his place of business with intent to kill me. And we had a construction company and he was trying to get the dozer keys to dig a hole to bury me in. But long story short, he locked the keys in the car. So I believe that was God watching out for me. And we had to call someone out there. And I literally left him that week because I knew I was not going to make it if I stayed. And that was very hard because I had 3 kids, never worked. And, it was a very hard time to leave. So I left. And when I left, I immediately met another man at a friend's house who was visiting from out of town. And so I married him. And everything he told me about himself and all this was very, what do you want to say? It wasn't all truth. Everything he said was like, so I looking back, I feel like I married a lie. And I was in that relationship. I got pregnant right in the beginning. We had our first baby, and I stayed in that relationship for 12 years.
Wow.
And then I had one other relationship when I left there for 2 years, and that wasn't any better. And so I had to at 44 years old, I'm like, okay, I'm the common denominator in all this. As hard as that is. Someone told me that. One of my friends who's a counselor was like, you do know you're kind of the common denominator. And you know, why? So my bigger question that I was angry at is not what happened to me. We could go on for hours about all the stuff I've been through, but why did I allow it? And why did I stay? And why was I okay? I mean, I had some of those relationships where they would cheat on me. And the second they would cheat, I'd be like, well, where are we going to dinner? Let's go to a movie. Like, I would literally act like what they just said to me, I was like, I just already forgave and was moving on.
Wow.
You know, and in the process of learning myself, I realized that's what I learned at 12 years old. When something traumatic happens, as of my dad passing, we put it under the rug. We go on the next day and we just act like, so now there's more emotions, right?
Wow.
Because I'm not dealing with my emotions. So now there's more storing inside of me, and I'm not healing. And I'm just living this life of not being authentic, you know, I'm living a life of not being the true me. So obviously I'm not attracting the right opportunities, the right people in my life, the right friendships, just the right everything. I'm just basically flowing through life and just taking whatever comes my way. There's no boundaries. There's no self-love. There's no any of that. And so through this journey of maximizing life, when I wrote my book, I was like, oh my goodness, like all these aha moments. I mean, I guess everybody out there already knows these things, but nobody told me. Like, I don't have that manual, you know?
No, most of us don't discover it till we're 50, actually, if you look at studies.
Yeah. And it's just like, wow, like I didn't even know, like, I always thought self-love. I had a life coach, and I just always thought, because she's like, you really need to work on self-love. And I'm like, I love so big, I don't need any more love. Like, that's how I perceived it. Like, I mean, I love so big, I give so big. I don't need self-love. So I dismissed that for like 4 years, because I just thought that was kind of, I don't know, self-love. And just for me, it was kind of a turn-off term. I don't know why. I was just really did not like hearing that term.
It sounds selfish when people say it to me,
and it just
even though I'm a very narcissistic person.
And you know, this self-love thing. But I will say, when I really did start, okay, what is this self-love thing? Maybe that's what I'm the missing piece here. I don't know, like maybe. So I really started to try to figure out self-love. And in the process of figuring out that, and the way I figured it out was just figuring out who I am. Like taking the time to learn me. Like, there's no right or wrong. I've lived my entire life doing what people told me to do, how they told me to do it, how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, how to act, how to eat, how to, you know, and you wake up at 44 years old and you're like, wait a minute, like I've just been programmed like I'm a robot, and I'm just been doing everything that I'm told. I don't like any of this.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a famous line from Fight Club that I loved a long time ago. We buy shit to impress people that don't give a shit about us. And they don't care. Like I was buying BMWs and everything, big houses and whatever the hell it was to impress people. And people just didn't give a shit. Like the only person who really gave a shit about was me. And I'm like, why are you buying things to impress people? Hi, folks. Chris Voss here with a little station break. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. We'll resume here in a second. I'd like to invite you to come to my coaching, speaking, and training courses website. You can also see our new podcast over there at chrisvossleadershipinstitute.com. Over there, you can find all the different stuff that we do for speaking engagements if you'd like to hire me, training courses that we offer, and coaching for leadership, management, entrepreneurism, podcasting, corporate stuff. With over 35 years of experience in business and running companies as CEO. And be sure to check out chrisvossleadershipinstitute.com. Now back to the show. Falling back to some of your description, what's interesting to me is, you know, people say to me, you'll see people on Facebook, they'll be like, hey, if you go back and talk to your 12-year-old or 15-year-old or teenage self or high school, what would you tell yourself? And my reply always kind of surprises people. I'm like, go see a therapist. And we have so many authors like yourself that come on the show. I mean, it's endless, but this is how we learn the hard way sometimes. And hindsight's always 20/20. But so many people, childhood traumas shape them. And it is such an impact of life. And I think it's important that we talk about these things because we need to try and resolve them earlier and to get help with them. For a daughter, a father in her life is the most important, especially in those teenage years where she's being shaped, guiding her to make good decisions for men, being an example of a good man to her. Because women will usually choose or seek out the person their father is or the qualities of them. And one thing I've learned in dating is finding out what a woman's relationship is with her father and what type of thing he set for her, and that will shape her and the decisions she makes for men. And it sounds like, tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you were kind of you didn't deal with the pain and get closure, but you were also trying to replace kind of almost a father figure in life, and you were accepting just about any man who would come by. Not almost. Is that a good analogy?
That is so true. And like you said, they say in studies between 12 and 13, 14-year-olds old, that age, a girl gets her self-confidence as well from her father.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't have any self-confidence, and then you lose at that age. That's why I was very angry at him for leaving. I took it. I was angry, and I just took it as he left. Not that he died. He left me at a time that I needed him, and I was just very angry. And I know that doesn't even make sense, but when you're a 12-year-old, a lot of things don't make sense, right? So that's just 12. How I took it. Yeah. And so, the only thing that I've always said, and I don't even really know where this comes from, but from that age on, I just was like, I just want to be loved by a man, unconditionally loved. I just want to the person I marry to be married happily ever after for 50 some years, whatever. And, it's just going to be this fairy tale happiness. And I've already had 2 divorces, and it has been nothing but what I desire to have.
Yeah.
My counselor says I've never truly been loved by a man. And so that's why I've worked on me in trying to get myself healthy. So I know my worth. I've been doing a lot of things on owning, there's a lot of studies on for women, like learning how to be the queen. What does that even mean? And how do you act? And a king is looking for a queen. And, back in the day, these women would groom to go before the king, how they walked, how they talked, how they act, just knowing your self-worth, knowing your value, knowing that you deserve. Maybe these things in our childhood happen, like these things, I'll never play victim to that. Yes, they happened. I've completely healed from all of it. I have no unforgiveness towards any part of my life or any person. And I just realized, now I realize my worth, and I know. So I had that 2-year relationship in the last 8 years, and I haven't dated anybody in almost 4 years now. And I'm getting ready to be out there, and people are like, that's just so weird. And I'm like, no, because I've had to heal. Like it is priceless what I have been through and the things that I have learned, and you can't buy this. There's no. And I've had to do a lot of the work on my own, not even with the counselor, but just, the work that I've done on my own and put in myself. And it doesn't happen overnight because we don't get here overnight. So it's not a quick fix. And I feel like it'll be a forever journey, but just knowing your worth and knowing, that does take time. Maybe I didn't get it from my dad, like you said, where I should have gotten it from. So people that don't get it from their dad, just know that, you can still find it. Like it's not a crutch to say, I didn't get that from my dad, I can never have that. Because I'm living proof, because I do absolutely know my value, what I will, allow, not allow, and I can see so many things firsthand now. So it's interesting when you've come through and you're healed and you're whole, and you go on a date here and there, a coffee date, and you see things, you're like, oh, my old person would have never picked up on that. But, as you self-develop, I think you keep growing. Like I say, maximizing life, living level to level without getting stuck. We're just constantly growing in life, or I feel like we should be. I want to constantly growing. I want to constantly be becoming, a better person, a better friend, a better mom, a better, one day I'll be a spouse, just, in my business, everything. I want to continue to learn and grow. And that's,
there you go. You have to learn to love yourself. And I figured this out in dating, and I had to go through my journey to learn to love myself and dealing with childhood trauma. Excuse me. But learning to love yourself is really important, because there's a lot of people that try to replace what was missing, and they've done in psychology they find that a lot of failures that we have in our parenting experience as children, because we're children, we don't know anything. And parents are supposed to set an example of a healthy relationship, of a healthy mother role, of a healthy father role. They're supposed to be both parents in the household, the masculine and feminine. And that's the example that we set. And any failure of that model, we actually try and go out in the world and try and replicate those aspects that failed in the relationship with our parents, or that maybe our parents had with each other. We go and pick partners that are like them, and we actually create the same scenarios, and then they fail because those people failed because they were a bad mix. Like I love my parents. They're great people. They stuck it out as long as they could for us. But when they called us and said, we're getting divorced, after 25 years, we were like, cool, you guys finally get it. Like we've all been here for years. We've all known that two of you should never have been together.
Right.
But you go on this amazing journey. I'm looking online at these pictures of you becoming a, what would you call this? A fitness?
So NPC bodybuilder. So I'm a figure competitor, and bodybuilding has been my therapy. So when I started out and I got a life coach in the very beginning, when I divorced, that's all by accident. I didn't even know, I wasn't seeking a life coach. I didn't even know what it was. I ran across a friend that was having a party, and I just invited myself and went over there, and this lady was there, and we just connected, and I bought a package from her, and I did, her life coaching. And she began to ask me about my hobbies. What are your hobbies? What do you just do for you that's fun? And first off, I didn't even know what a hobby was. I'm like, okay, you lost me. Hobby? What do you mean? Like I'm sewing, I'm knit. Like, I don't know. What are you talking about? And so that's just how broken I was. And she gave me this questionnaire to fill out at the time. I couldn't even answer the questions on it. I just sat there and cried. I called her back. I said, I don't think your life coaching is for me. I think I'm a little I need more than this, because I can't even answer your questions. That's just, that's just the place that I was, so broken in that place. But finding the hobby. So when I found my hobby, I went through the whole thing. I started running. I ran the Houston Marathon, and that wasn't for me. I did a one and done, 26 miles, never stopping. I never had a runner's high. I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about on this runner's high. It didn't happen for me. I tried tennis. I really did try some things. Then a friend of mine, she went to coffee, and she's like, hey, I'm doing this bodybuilding competition, bikini thing. And so I was really intrigued by that, because going back whenever I was 16, 17, I was a gymnast, and I used to be, and I really followed a lot of the girls that did the fitness competitions back then with the bikinis going on stage. And I thought that was very cool, something I always wanted to do. But at that time when I got married, I wasn't allowed to. That was taken away. And so I was like, wow, that's something I wanted to do back when I was 18 or 19, but I'm 46 now. I have 4 kids, stretch marks. Getting on stage in a suit does not seem like something that would be fun. I don't know about that. You have fun with it. And long story short, I just listened to her talk about it, and I went home and I signed up that night for the competition, not knowing what I was doing. I just felt it in my heart. And she contacted me that week and said, hey, I decided I'm not going to do the competition after all. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to stay and I'm going to do it. And that was a turning point in my confidence, because first of all, I had to drive to Dallas by myself from Houston. Mm-hmm. So it's a couple-hour drive. I don't have a team. I don't have the finances to do it really correctly and have all the coaching and all the stuff there, because I just divorced. Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to do it because it's something I wanted to do. And I get there, and there's other things going on too. There's strongman contest. There's other things. So there's several hundred people in the crowd. And I go to get on stage, and I'm literally shaking. I don't know what happened, but the second you start walking on that stage for the first time, I start shaking. I turned the wrong direction. I didn't pose right. People were kind of laughing, but not laughing at me, but you could just see their faces this is she doesn't know what she's doing. Where's her coach? She's not even in the right spot or turning the right way. And in my head, I was like, what are you doing, Valerie? This was the dumbest thing that you could have ever thought up to do. And this is like, no, you need to like go off the stage and go back to your hotel room and be done. Like, no, like this is like, that's how bad it was. But I had 2 more times to go on stage and they just bring you back around because there's 3 categories. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that lady grabbed me before I could go. So I had to go back around and I got on stage the second time. I'm like, okay, breathe. You can do this. And at least I knew where to walk to the second time, right? Because so I was like, okay, went to the right spot. Still shook a little bit, wasn't great. And then the third time, I'm like, hey, I calmed myself down. I'm like, okay, take a deep breath. You can do this. I get out there and I didn't shake and I did my little routine and I was done. I was like, okay, I did it. I tried the sport. I don't like this. I'm not doing it again. I'm going to look for another hobby, but I will come back for the night show for the awards, even though I know I got last place because it was so bad, watching the other girls. And I'll tell you what I learned from that when you're wanting to build confidence in life, it doesn't just happen. I thought confidence happened at a certain age. Like we get to a certain age and we're just confident. Like, it's something that we're just given at a certain age. It just happens. And, then I'm realizing confidence is like a muscle. You have to do the hard things to build that muscle, to build your confidence. And I could have easily given up that first time I went on. I had every right to leave that stage and go to my room. If you would have seen the video, you'd be like, yeah, that's probably the best thing you could do. But I went back around and I did it again. And mind you, when I got on this stage, I had 0 confidence. I had just come out of that marriage and where I was at. So I'm thinking, I'm getting on stage with 0 confidence. What did this just do to my confidence? Because this was not a good idea because now my confidence is not even non-existent. It's in the negative. And I'll say, so when the night show, I did get last place on the first time out. I did get last place on the second time out. And on the third time out, the third round, when I went out, I got first place.
Wow.
And so it taught me that, life can be hard and there can be hard things that we're doing. And just because it doesn't work out the first time doesn't mean that it's not right for you, or the second time, you have to, if it's something that in your heart, like I knew in my heart, I wanted to do this, but I was going to be so quick to give up because it didn't pan out how I thought it should have panned out in my head. And I will tell you, if I did not get that first place on that third time around, I would have never done another show. And these shows have actually been, like you said, you need a therapist. They have actually been my therapy. Every show I've had the biggest breakthroughs. At 50 years old, I had the breakthrough that I went to my dad's, after that show, I went to my dad's gravesite for the first time and I addressed his death 38 years later.
Wow.
And I had the biggest breakthrough and I was able to share with my mom what had happened. And I didn't want to share with her because my ego didn't want her to know I went there. But when I went to go find his gravesite, I couldn't find it. It was pouring down rain, storming. And I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm not going to leave, even though the weather's bad. And I had to call her and I ended up finding it. I talked to him for like an hour out there under the umbrella,
wow.
Talking about technology and cell phones and we're taking selfies and my kids. And I was just bawling like literally the second my tire hit that cemetery. I had floods of tears. Like I've never in my life cried that hard ever. I don't even know. Like I said, the emotion was still inside of me, obviously. And when I hit, it just poured. It just poured like just buckets. And and I share with my mom at 50 years old for the first time that I saw my dad. She had no idea that I had seen that happen 38 years later. That's how much we never spoke about it.
Do you feel that gave you closure?
It totally gave me closure. It just something about going there and addressing it and just letting it go. A lot of things in life that we go through, you can't change it. It happened. You know what I'm saying? So when you find closure on things, it's not that you're like, oh, I'm happy and everything's all great. For me, it just is coming to I'm going to close this I'm going to accept how it happened, even though maybe not how I wanted it to happen. And I'm going to accept, that my mom never, we never talked about it. I have to let, I can't hold on to that because what I like to tell people, I like to see, I'm a picture person, so I have to see this picture. And I tell people, every cell in our body is energy. Mm-hmm. We're made of energy. So you can go in a room and you can walk in and if you can see someone's face, wow, they're sad. Or you can walk in and see someone's angry and mad, or they might not be saying anything, but you can tell they're angry. you can tell when someone's happy and has positive energy. And so my goal has been to have every cell in my body working on the highest frequency. Like it is on every cell every day is going to be the highest frequency. So I attribute that to being a fireball. So when every cell is operating at the highest level, you're a complete fireball. Like you're attracting all that's free. You're showing up in the right way. It's very hard to do. I'm not saying I've ever gotten there, but in my head, this is what I'm picturing that I want to be. And this is how I want to present myself when I'm places. But if you have unforgiveness, that fireball for me, your energy is already cut in half.
Yeah.
And then you might have resentment. And I've been through lots of things that I had no closure. And so you have, and then it begins like anger or resentment or feeling like, somebody chose somebody over you. There's just all kinds of emotions that are tied up. So pretty soon this little fireball of energy is like this big that you're showing up every day. Mm-hmm. And then you wonder why things aren't, coming your way, or why your life isn't getting any better. And so for me, just that little picture that I see, it's easier for me to say, okay, I'm going to forgive this. I'm going to lay this down because I want the rest of my life to be the best years of my life. And the only way for me to do that is I can't control my childhood years because I was a child, but I can control my adult years. Mm-hmm. And so I will go through and I will, listen to the things I need to listen to. I will go to the seminars I feel like I want to go to. I will invest in myself. I will continue to put myself out there and share and do the hard things. And, and maybe I've, like not wanting to speak or whatever, I will do the hard things because that's what I'm called to do, whether I feel like I should or not. And I'm just going to do the things because I want that happiness that comes with. I have felt it. Like I had an aha moment, like maybe a year ago, maybe not even that long ago. I was like driving and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I was like, I feel so loved and I feel so happy and I feel so at peace. Like, I'm not taking anything and I haven't had a drink and it's just the weirdest thing just to be naturally for a girl who used to have panic attacks every day and feel depressed to be like, okay, I didn't know this was possible. I was looking for this feeling from a man. I was looking for a man my whole life to give me this feeling.
To replace your father.
And I never had it, but now I have it on my own. Now I'm like, oh, okay, what do I do now? And it's like, no, because when you meet a person and like, you're that full fireball and you attract someone who is that full fireball. To me, that's a power couple. That's when you walk in places and you're like, whoa, like you can just feel the energy. Like, who is that? Like, and we don't see a lot of that. And because people don't take the time to heal. And, people say, oh, your first time around divorce rate's 50%, second 60. Oh, guess what, Valerie, you're going to marry a third time. You got a 70%. And I don't buy into that because the reason I don't is because I've taken 8 years to heal. See, before I had my first marriage, jumped right into my second marriage. There was no healing. I had baggage from my first marriage, baggage from my second marriage. And now I've taken 8 years to heal all that baggage that I've had. So now it's like, okay, now I'm making better decisions. Now I'm attracting better things now, but it's work and it's investing in yourself. And it's, taking, for me, the finances that maybe I didn't have. And I got a life coach and I did the things that looking on paper, you're like, okay, that's not a smart move, but looking back, it was the best move that I could have made, and as women, I have a lot of women I talk to and I coach and they, they're like, yeah, I don't know if I can afford your coaching. It's kind of a lot. And then we'll start talking and, they're like, yeah, but I just, got my filler and my Botox that cost me like $2,500 for this. And I'm going on this vacation and I just listen to them talk. I'm not going to try to talk anybody into coaching with me. I just find it like, okay, you found money to do that. You found money to buy the new clothes and shoes for your vacation. So we have no problem spending on our outside. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like we want to look good. We as women, we want that. But also remember investing on the inside, because what I have found when I healed on people stop me everywhere and say, you're glowing. Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Nothing has changed but my inside, my heart, like who I am. I've healed and I'm authentically me. And, one of the things I teach people is unleash your inner superhero, become your authentic self and don't like bow, like don't put that down for anybody. Like, my whole life, I did what other people like. If I was dating somebody and they liked football. I'm going all out on football. We're going to all the football stuff. Or,
God bless you.
but I do love football because
You know how many women don't get football?
I raised 2 boys, and I will tell you, my one son, he played football in high school, and I was the only mom in there watching film. Okay, I was in there watching film for him. So I did all the things for that. But I'm just saying, like, you'll get in these relationships or hunting, and there's nothing wrong with that, like But when I dated, it was like I would just find what these people liked, and that all of a sudden became me. Mm-hmm. And then I would look back, and I'm like, I never showed them anything that I liked or what I wanted. Everything was all about them and in their world. So when you become your authentic self and you can unapologetically be you in a kind way, I'm not talking about just being a jerk to people, but when you're authentically you and you just show up every day your best version, I feel like the world could be a much better place if we could just all be authentically to who you're created to be. Like, I no longer compare myself to any other life coach or any other author or any other speaker, because if I tried to be you and I tried to take your story and I tried to share your insights, I would have no passion or because I would just be trying to go through textbook. I'm staying in my lane and doing the best that I know to do with what my message is to share. And my main message to share people is to be authentically yourself, because when you can get to that point that you're authentically you can find self-love. When you find self-love, you find your self-confidence. When you find your self-confidence, you find courage to do the hard things that you were scared to do, because now you have self-confidence, you have self-love. So if it doesn't work out right, you're not beating yourself up forever, because you're like, okay, you could take a moment to be upset, but then you get back on track faster because your value, your worth, and it's going to work out. So
there you go. I think in the age of Instagram, unfortunately, it's taught a lot of women. I see women talk about this on TikTok, that to focus so much on their looks, and we see these girls, they get these fillers, and sometimes the surgeries don't work out, and all sorts of weird stuff, and you're like, that girl is kind of more beautiful. There was a gal from, what was that show, The Hills? Was it called The Hills? And it had that couple. They ended up getting married, but she was really beautiful as a young lady, and she went and had like a full 12 procedure face plastic surgery done, and she ended up looking just horrible on average when she got done, and she even regretted it. But let's talk about this here, because this is the hero's journey you went on, and how you remade yourself. This is the back of your book, I believe. It took me a second to pull this up, and I don't know if how well that's going to come across the screen, but here's you in full. I think this is a fitness contest regalia. And you look better than I ever looked, even when I was 20 years old. You're fit, you've got muscle tone, you look great in the bikini. I'm describing this for the people who just listen to the podcast on iTunes, but you look great. And this is, I think, from the back of your book. How do you get to this point? You're obviously doing well in these competitions and stuff.
It's a lot of you have to really have a lot of self-discipline. And so, like I said, was my healing journey, because when I realized there's not a lot of things in life that we can control. We can control ourselves. I can control what I eat. I can control if I go to the gym. I can control if I follow my plan. And so by following my plan, even as strict as it was and as hard as it was, for anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks, depending on what the prep is for that time, you start seeing the first 6 weeks, I don't see a lot of change. It's just hard. You're like going, oh my gosh, it's like, trust the process. Everybody's different, but for me, that's how my body is. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing. And then after that, the last 6 weeks, then like every week, dramatic changes happen. And you're like, it kind of gets you like, oh, okay, wow. Like I just have to stay with the plan. I just have to stay with the process, and things happen. And, then you get to stage day and you wake up the morning of the show and you're like, oh, wow. Oh, like, because you're depleting the water and the salt. So you're seeing everything that you've been working on come to, like, it's a science project almost. Like, you're like, wow, we don't stay looking like that, walking around all day, every day, but showing yourself that with discipline, and again, that you have to have the self-love to have all these things, but anything in life you can have. It doesn't matter what it is. So in business, in friendships and relationships, it just would show me anything is possible when you have a plan and you stick to it and you don't give up. You just don't give up. And so that, kind of is the drive, and that's how I was able to get there. But it also takes community. I was the queen of isolating myself. I mean, I could isolate, like I just did not. And when I realized we need each other, and then, so when you're going through the harder times, or you're having a day of, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do another hour of cardio in the morning, hour at night, workout, and I've got to work all day, and I only get 1,200 calories, and you have to weigh your food, and it's a lot. It's a lot goes into it. But it just shows, anything is possible. Anything. We're created to create. You get to create the life that I believe that you choose to live. Like you have to, on a certain sense, that's true. Like if you want to be a doctor, you have to go to school, you have to go to college, you have to go to be a doctor. You're not just going to be a doctor because you want to be a doctor. Like, if there's things in life you want to have, you have to put the work in to get you on a path, to make that happen, or I don't see how it could happen any other way.
There you go. Anything worth having of any extraordinary amount of value usually is a result of hard work and earning, unless you're a trust fund baby, then that's
Right.
different inheritance.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the rest of us are a lottery winner, but the rest of us have to, it's always hard work. And I'm always surprised by people, especially in the Instagram age, that don't understand the hard work it is. Like even when I became successful with my companies, people were like, well, you've made a bunch of money and you're successful, you can do whatever you want. Now you're free to just go, I don't know, sit around and do nothing. I'm like, you don't understand. It's the menagerie and the high wire that I built is even harder to maintain because it's bigger and there's further to fall and there's so many working parts. I was just cutting a show to put on TikTok from one of the billionaires we had on the show. He's 70 years old and he still does 60 to 70 hour work weeks. And he's like, I'm going to do that till I die. And what's extraordinary too is the picture I held up. Those that are listening can go check it out. It's on the back of your book or Google you. That's after 4 kids, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people make excuses. I've made excuses being fat and losing weight over the years, and stuff you con yourself into, like, well, whatever. And nowadays we have this body shaming or this body positivity thing that says, hey, be as unhealthy as you want and get diabetes and eat all you want. And everyone should just be positive about everything. And it's kind of interesting. But, you had 4 children and those people look at the picture and go, that's a lot of work that goes into going to the gym and shaping yourself and eating right and, not going to McDonald's every day like the rest of us. That's a lot of work. And it's quite the accomplishment too.
It is a lot of work and you have to show up for yourself. So, anything is possible. I used to think, because I never, even back when I was a gymnast, I was not that fit, and that's when I was younger. Because even as a gymnast, I was always a little, like, people used to always say, oh, you're big boned. You're just a little like heavier. And that's just how I was. I was never your tiny gymnast. I did gymnastics because I loved it. I wasn't going to be any Mary Lou Retton at the time. Because I was taller and I was bigger. But so for me to have accomplished that and to have been able to get my body there just showed me like, wow, I never could do that at any point in my life. It did not happen until I was 46 years old. So, and I'll compete again this year. I compete every year. This year I'll compete once. So most years I compete 2 or 3 times, but I've been doing other things now. I'm working on a second book and I'm really working on getting, my work and, getting into public speaking and doing courses on that and my life coaching. So my life is a little busier because I'm also a full-time personal trainer with my business. So it's a little busier for me than to just say, I'm going to go on prep and do these shows because it does take a lot out of you. So I'm trying not to burn myself out and get some stuff done. So I did tell myself I will do 1 show this year instead of my 2 or 3, which
there you go. Age is just a number. As you state in your book. What do you hope people come away from your book, or whether they work with you for coaching or other stuff? What do you hope people are going to come away from this and learn?
I want people to come away with just realizing that we're all so individually made that we all have our own DNA. We're all so unique, but yet we want everybody to fit in this one for all pot that we're all the same. And we're all authentic. We all have gifts and talents. And, there's things that people that are listening now that they have talents that I don't have. And I have things that you don't have. So just getting to a place that you're like, okay, maybe I will take a time out and just try to figure out who I am. Like, you know, one of the programs I wrote that I do on life coaching is called Who Am I? Because I'll even ask people that, and they're like, don't ask me that question. Like, they're being serious, like, because I don't want to sit here and answer that for you, because it's not like, what is your profession and you know, what house do you live in, but like, to your core, like, who are you? Like, you know, what are your gifts? What are your talents? What do you wish you could be doing? Or, you know, and so just finding a place that you're safe to be authentically you. And I've realized I was never allowed to be authentically me because I was never around the people that were my right people. When I've gotten around the people that are my right people, I am authentically me. And ever since I started this journey, the second I meet somebody, I'm me. Like, I don't put any, you know, a lot of times people are like, oh, I got to warm up and get to know somebody. Nope, I'm just me. I'm showing up as me. This is who I am, because I want to find my people that are okay with me being me, and I'm okay with them being them. And again, if I take anything away, just think about that, you know, your authentic self. Like, who are you to your core? Not what were you told. Like, as a child, I was told what church to go to, how to dress. I married someone, you got to dress like this way. You've got to wear this. Don't wear makeup. Your hair, you know, I was just been told, like, and then you just get to a place and you're like, wait, like, what do I want? You know, what do I believe? What are my beliefs? What's my core values? What's my belief system? Not because somebody told somebody for this generation, that generation, that we're just going to continue to just keep being these, you know, what I say, like, I just live like this robot. I was just good at doing what I was told. So just taking some time out and just really learning who you are as a person, because I don't think anybody that I've talked to, maybe there's a few out there that take much time to invest and figure out themselves. You'll invest in who you're dating and who you're around and what do they like and what don't they like, and you want to please them and help them. But when you flip that coin on you and you look in the mirror and you're like, ask yourself that, it's kind of a weird feeling to even ask yourself that, right? Because we just aren't taught that. But you're important, because the relationship you have with yourself is an extension of every other relationship you have in your life.
It is.
And so if you're not, like, to me, it's like, you would really, the more I learn that, the more excited I get to learn more about myself, because then I'm better to everybody else around me. And the relationships I build are true relationships. Like, they're solid because it's an extension of that I'm solid with myself. And so I just would say, just find who you are authentically, even if it's baby steps. And again, this has taken me 8 long years of literally daily doing it. It's not just tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and figure it out. It's a process.
There you go. Well, it's a great read, and people can learn through your journey and your coaching. I mean, it's extraordinary what you've done with your life, especially. I mean, I hear a lot of people say, I have kids, I can't eat right, I can't get healthy, I can't, my body's never going to be the same. And it's harder too. This should really be pointed out. It's harder to go back to the gym at 40 and 50. I've learned that lesson. It takes a lot more self-discipline, because, when I was young, I would go to the gym, go lift some weights and your muscle go, and you're like, wow, your testosterone for men is through the chart. And then when you get older, your testosterone is in the toilet, and, you're like working out and you're like, hey, where'd those muscles go I put on a day or two ago? It's like they disappeared. And, it's a lot harder. So props to you for everything you've done and what you've gone through, and giving yourself that self-love and acknowledgement, and going on your own hero's journey about, who am I and who is this person? And you bring up a good point. My psychiatrist, anytime he says, who are you? I go, which personality? So there's that. Right. Valerie, give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs and find out more about you.
So my .com is maksymizing.life.com. Again, that's MAKSYMIZING life.com.
There you go. And any parting thoughts you want to share with us?
I just invest in yourself is all I can say, because when you do, I didn't know what I didn't know, and so when I just took that little step of saying, okay, things have to be different than this. I think when you just start searching for something, things come to you. So just put it out there. Just start searching. You might start reading one book and it might lead you to another book. That's how my journey's been. I start doing one thing, it leads me to something else. I'll talk to one person, it leads me to someone else. Just give yourself permission to find out who you are. Some people don't want it. They have all these reasons why they can't give themselves permission to take the time, but give yourself permission.
There you go. A beautiful message. Beautiful message. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Valerie. Really appreciate it.
So thank you for having me. It's been great.
There you go. Folks, order up the book wherever fine books are sold. Maksymizing Life, in the terms of her last name. Maksymizing Life, Maksymizing. Maksymizing Life. Turn self-doubt into self-confidence. Available October 11, 2022. And you can check out all the stuff she's done. And man, I look at your pictures and I'm like, I got to get back to the gym. So there you go. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and linkedin.com/Chris Voss. See what we're trying to do on TikTok and tell us whether it's cool or not. We're cutting the shows and putting them up there and seeing if the kids get our highbrow, really intelligent podcast. I don't know. We might be a little above them. I don't know. That sounds it's a little rude, doesn't it? I don't know. Have you seen Gen Z lately? Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I love my Gen Z people. We'll see you next time.